Welcome to Rapid Fire Wednesday, Q&A for corporate immigration professionals. I'm Kimberley Robidoux, a partner in our San Diego office, and I'm joined today, as always, by Miki Matrician, who's the co-managing partner of our Boston office. How are you doing, Miki?
Hi again, Kim. Doing
Hey.
well.
All right, so today we're going to discuss considerations for international travel, particularly for people who were selected in the H-1B cap lottery. So we plan to discuss what global mobility professionals and foreign nationals need to factor in, especially during this period of time. So in our last episode, we discussed guidance on visa applications and travel internationally in general. And we warned that if it is possible to avoid traveling international, it is best to do so at this time, given a lot of the uncertainties. So we also caution that there is heightened scrutiny and extreme vetting at the CBP ports of entry. So, as far as the H-1B cap lottery is concerned, we are currently in the middle of the filing period, which began April 1st and will end on June 30th. So, we get this question a lot about whether people with pending H-1B cap petitions can travel internationally. And if someone is on F1 OPT and they were selected in a lottery, and there is a change of status H-1B petition pending with USCIS, what would you say about their travel plans, Mickey?
Yeah, I would say it's really important that foreign nationals discuss travel strategies with Global Mobility or HR. When a change of status petition is filed with USCIS, that basically means that leaving the US would be an abandonment of the change of status request. And then what that means is that if an individual travels, the H1 status will not automatically kick in as of October 1st or the effective date of the petition, whichever is later. And then that means that at the later date, they would need to leave the US, apply for an H-1B visa stamp, and re enter to activate the H-1B status. Alternatively, if the employer agrees, it is also legally possible to file another petition to change status. So the takeaway is foreign nationals who have a change of status petition pending with USCIS should not leave the US unless they first have consulted with Global Mobility or HR regarding a strategy of how they would activate H-1B status. And before they do that, will they have another visa status that they can maintain and work pursuant to?
Yeah, those are good considerations. So, can you also discuss the scenario where the H-1B petition has been approved, meaning it's no longer pending, but it's been approved by the Immigration Service? Does that change the situation and travel guidance at all, Mickey?
Yep. So if the H-1B petition as change of status has been approved for someone on F1 OPT, it is possible to travel internationally and return to the US, but only if they have a valid employment authorization document pursuant to OPT. It's important to know, though, however, that there is a risk because when the F1 visa holder returns prior to October 1st, the SEVIS record may reflect that they are no longer in F1 status upon the H1 approval taking place. Therefore, the F1 OPT holder may have trouble coming back into the United States under F1. For those people who have an expired OPT, they should not travel internationally unless they are prepared to wait outside of the US until their H1 petition has been approved and they have secured an H1 visa stamp at a consulate abroad. And even with the new visa stamp, they cannot enter more than 10 days prior to the effective date of the H-1 petition, and they can't start working until the effective date. So, for example, it means that they could enter on September 21st, but not start working until October 1st, and their time in H-1 status will start ticking on September 21st. So, as we said in the last Rapid Fire Wednesday episode, processing at consulates may also take longer due to extreme vetting and longer appointment wait times. So, it's important to factor that into the plan. And then, when returning to the US after travel, F1 OPT holders with an approved CAP H1 petition must present their valid employment authorization document, Form I-20 from the school official that has been endorsed within the last 6 months, and a letter from their employer.
Yeah, it's really good information, Mickey. So, would your advice change if the person has a status other than F1 and they have a pending H-1B change of status petition with the Immigration Service.
Yes, absolutely. It's important for HR and global mobility professionals, as well as for national employees, to know that people in other visa categories like L1, E3, TN, and O1 would also abandon their change of status request if they leave the United States while the petition is pending. This means that they'll need to obtain an H-1B visa stamp from a U.S. consular post before they can activate the H-1 status in the U.S. And so here again, it's important to plan ahead on timing of the travel and expiration dates of the current status.
Right. So, unless the company is filing an H-1B petition via consular notification, in which case intervening international travel doesn't impact the H-1B petition, they need to be careful about travel internationally. And it's also, critical that the foreign national employee knows what is necessary to be able to return to the US in their current status, and then how to later obtain H-1B status. So the bottom line is, right, Miki, if there's going to be any international travel, need to assess if the person is, an F1 with OPT or SEM OPT, if they're in a non F1 status, and then where is that petition with respect to being processed by the Immigration Service? Is it pending or has it already been approved? And the timing. So those all factor into a strategy that can either be prepared before filing the petition or a strategy that can be revised after the petition has been filed or approved so that global mobility, HR, and the foreign national employee, as well as managers and immigration counsel, are all on the same page about any impact that international travel will have on the status and what might need to be done in the future to get that H-1B status activated. So I think that's a wrap, right, Miki, for today's session. And for our previous discussion on F1 visa stamp revocations and termination of SEVIS records, please see our Rapid Fire Wednesday from April 23rd, which seems like forever ago, but it was just recent. And then, stay tuned for future episodes on updates to the immigration landscape. If you don't already, please follow our LinkedIn page for WR Immigration, as well as our individual profiles. And we also transcribe each and every Rapid Fire Wednesday episode and post it to a weekly newsletter to which you can subscribe. If you'd like to subscribe, that link will be in the video description. So have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, Kim. Good to see you.
You as well.